Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another edition of Shaun Solo, and today I want to talk about the recently released The Witness. Yes, Jonathan Blow's new game. If you don't know who Jonathan Blow is, then you must not be into video games. Not really. You're just not into them as much as I am, which is probably good for you. It's probably a good thing, honestly. If I spent as much time thinking about math or how to fix the world as I do about movies and video games and stories and shit like that, I'd probably be a lot more productive member of society, if I'm being honest with you. But that's neither here nor there, because don't you want to feel like a productive member of society? Do you ever want to feel like a smart person? Well, then you should play The Witness, because that's kind of, at its core, what it is. It's like... Its mechanic is epiphany. It's I feel smart because I figured this area out. So if you don't know anything about The Witness, like I said, it's made by Jonathan Blow. I believe this is his second game that he's kind of done himself, that he was the lead designer on. He's kind of got like an auteur kind of thing going on about him. He originally made the game Braid, which is kind of messes with time mechanics and platforming and stuff like that. Braid's a really cool game. I always appreciated Braid more than I kind of liked it. But that was another game that had, a lot of platforming type of puzzles, and then you use this rewind and reverse time mechanic, go back and forth to figure out certain puzzles and stuff like that. Really cool game. Really fascinating game. And so I was kind of looking forward to this. They've been talking about The Witness since the PlayStation 4 was announced, I think. It was announced as like one of like the big indie games. Like, look who we got working on PlayStation 4 games. We got Jonathan Blow, everybody. Jonathan Blow came out. He's like, I'm a nerd, and I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt for some reason, and we're gonna making this puzzle game. Even a couple years ago, he actually pretty much told people what it was going to be a few years ago. So it wasn't as mysterious, I think, as we all thought it was. I just kind of missed it. But he did an interview like a couple of years ago that said he's like, I like Myst, and I'm going to make like a Myst game. And Myst is very similar in the sense that like the enjoyment of Myst is like figuring out like obtuse puzzles, making you feel smart. The epiphany mechanic, as I would call it. Like that's kind of at its core. That's the enjoyment that you get out of this game. And I think that lasted for me for quite some time. I probably put about 20, 25 hours into this game. I've put in enough of this game that I can talk about it. So I don't know if this is really not like the most formless of reviews. I beat it. I played it enough where I could beat it. But the game has a lot more. So I ended up doing somewhere in the ballpark. I can't even remember exactly what the number was. It was a couple days ago. Like maybe 300 puzzles or something like that. The game has 600 puzzles. And so you can beat the game, and there's still like all this other stuff you can explore, and these other areas of the island, and the kind of little bonus things you can unlock. And to me, I'm done. Like, I'm done with the game. 25, 30 hours, I'm done. I have no desire to go back and like figure out all the secrets of The Witness. I really don't. And that's not... to me, it's not a knock against the game, because I think I got out what I wanted to get out of it, honestly. So where to start? Where to start with this game? So it's kind of like you're just on an island. It's non-linear. You can explore. You can go about things any way you want. And basically, it's broken up into like 11 areas, 11 sections. And each section kind of has its own gimmick, or it's built upon a gimmick that was started somewhere else, and then it adds something new to it to make it more like complex for each of the puzzle sets. And the estimated time they say, but to finish this game, they say is about, say if you had no guide and then you did mostly everything, it's about anywhere from 50 to 80 hours. But that I would say like a good 70% of your time is going to be spent trying to find puzzles that you either know how you can solve, or that you have done the prerequisite puzzles to know how to solve the new puzzles. Because even though it's a non-linear game, there is an actual linear progression that you're kind of supposed to go on. But you have to find it yourself. So if you don't enjoy just like exploring an island and being, you kind of cannot. You have to go into it without like purpose almost. And I guess that then it goes into like kind of the subtextual theme of the game where it's dealing with like Euclidean geometry and kind of abstract concepts in terms of like how to puzzle solving and looking at things from different perspectives, and it's mixed in with a bunch of like philosophy quotes and stories and anecdotes that all are supposed to be like kind of like leaning about towards like what it means to exist in a space, what it means to be a spiritual being, what it means to be a thinking person. So it kind of like it's even like it lends itself to that, but you as a person kind of have to get on that wavelength with the game, because if you don't, you are going to be just incredibly frustrated. This is not a game for everybody. This is not a game for like even adventure game fans. And even while it's I would say that it's the closest thing I've seen like probably ever to a like an actual like Myst successor. It's not like Myst that much though. Like there's a lot of differences. There's a lot of like Myst was, to me, in my recollection, it's been a long time since I played Myst or Riven, or Myst-likes. I was never really into the kind of the imitators. I kind of just like Myst and Riven, what I can remember. It was a really long time ago when I played them. But to my recollection, Myst and Riven, they're more built on big puzzles. Like big. So you would go do like figure out a puzzle, which were obtuse and difficult, and you really had to like slam your face into the keyboard type stuff. They felt like you actually got like a kind of a substantial reward in a sense, where they felt like you accomplished something. In The Witness, you don't really feel that sense of accomplishment in the sense outside of like personal accomplishment. And I understand that's definitely in line with what the game is saying on a subtextual level, even though there's no like plot or really story. I mean, there's stuff in here. I could not divine really what the game was about, or if there's more stuff, secret stuff I can go find to suss out more of like the story, the narrative of The Witness. I'll let other people do that, and I'll go read about it later. Like it's just I'm not going to put that kind of time into this game. Honestly, it's just like I just don't have that kind of time to sit here and play this for 200 hours. You know, it's just, to me, I met my threshold, because I'll be honest with you, like, the last few hours of this game, I pretty much just cheated so I could beat it. I just looked up a guide so I could beat it. Like, I unlocked about 4 of the 6 areas I unlocked on my own. And it took me around 25, 30 hours. But the reason why I ended up cheating was not because I couldn't figure out the puzzles, actually. I kind of found a track where I was kind of, for a while, I would say for the first like 3 areas, I was actually building, I naturally had found the ones I was supposed to in the right order. And then once I kind of fell out of that groove, I just was like, what the fuck? Like, I just wasn't having fun anymore. And even to say, like, this is not traditionally fun game. It is very much its own thing. And you're definitely it's not for everybody. I mean, this thing will wear on your fucking brain. Like, you'll sit there when you're staring, because all the puzzles are basically like these grid-based things for the most part, and you have to basically just figure out how to draw a line correctly, these lines correctly. All the puzzles are based on that central conceit, that central mechanic, and it'll give you a headache at some point. Like, there are so many times I had to just shut the game off, or go like wash the dishes or whatever, probably still thinking about it, and then I would, go take a shower, kind of get my mind off of it, and then come back, and then it would immediately present itself, the solution, just because you are your own greatest enemy. Most of the stuff is actually pretty simple. You are going to overcomplicate it. But the thing is, for me, like, when you're in an area, all the puzzles are based on the same, like, gimmick, I guess you could say. They're all kind of like the same thing. Up to a certain point. It changes a little bit in some of the areas. But to me, I didn't really find a lot of joy out of like solving the same kind of puzzle like 15 times in a row for an area. Like, to me, it would become tedious by the end of it. It's like, okay, like there was this one where you had to go underground somewhere and you had to like adjust water levels, and then you had to look in the reflection of like these puzzles were hanging over water, and you could see the reflection of the puzzles, and depending on where the water level was, like you could see, like it would reflect on the puzzle a way that you could see the solution. Like, to me, those aren't like figuring out like an actual puzzle, really. That's just like because it presents you pretty much with the answer for the most part, other than like maybe there'll be a shadow in a way and you'll fuck up a bunch of times because you just can't see, should I take this line right, or should I go down, or should I go left? Like, so that can be frustrating as well, but because then it's just like trial and error, and that's, to me, that's not really fun to me. That's tedious to me. Like, that's really the best word I can think of to describe it. So, like, I had a hard time playing this game for more than, I sat down and the longest I played this game at one time was probably 4 or 5 hours maybe. The longest one was definitely the first day I bought it. I played it probably for like all day. Kind of like I would take a break here and there, I'd go make some food or watch a TV show or something, and then I would come back. I had the whole day, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to play. And then I ended up playing until like, I don't know, like 10:30, 11. I wrote something on Facebook. Whenever I wrote that's about the time like I stopped playing, and I had bought it that afternoon or that morning, something like that. But yeah, so it's definitely a game you have to you pace it yourself. The game does not pace anything for you. The difficulty is going to be depending on what you stumble into and where you stumble into. Another good, I would say, it's like a tip for the game in terms of tolerance level is like, don't be afraid to stop investigating an area if you can't figure it out and go somewhere else, because you might not have the inadequate picture of how to solve some of these puzzles. And that goes back to that whole thing where it's like there is a intended way you're supposed to go, but the game does not tell you that. The game is not going to hold your hand. It doesn't do anything. There's not even music in this game. It's just wind and footsteps and solving puzzles. It's a gorgeous game for sure. I really enjoyed walking around the island of the Witness, and that's kind of part of it. You're supposed to put some headphones on if you're playing on PC, and it'd probably be good playing. Just really kind of immerse yourself and not really worry about progression. I think once you start worrying about progression, the game will just irritate you. You kind of have to be lackadaisical. The game wants you to be lackadaisical. The game wants to impart some kind of philosophical message to you, or it wants you to have kind of almost like a spiritual experience based on solving puzzles and your own self-worth and how that makes you feel. It's really that's kind of what I could gather. That is the subtext. I wanted to. The reason why last time I played it was this morning. I played it for a little bit, but I really wanted to do this review because I did not want to kind of read anything or look at too many of other people's opinions about it. I didn't even read a full review that anybody wrote before I wanted to do this before I kind of delved into that, because I think it's going to be really interesting, because I kind of wanted just to see what I figured out, myself. How right am I? Am I on the right track in terms of what I'm supposed to be getting out of this game? It's going to be really interesting, I think, once there's a post-mortem available and once Jonathan Blow kind of is out there talking about the game more openly. I think it'll probably be a while before he does that, though, because he wants people to experience this and discover this stuff all himself. But Jonathan Blow is a chatty Cathy, and he will love to very pointedly explain to you what the game means. At least that's how he was with Braid, so I'll cross my fingers and hope that something like that comes out at some point. What else could I say about The Witness? I mean, if you are into Myst-esque, or just kind of puzzles, real puzzles. Some of it is puzzles. Some of it's just environmental manipulation and drawing a line. To me, those aren't really puzzles. To me, that's fucking tedious stuff. That's busy work, and I don't didn't really care for that stuff. I liked the more like puzzle stuff, like where I would have to, like, there's like black and white like squares in the little squares, and I would have to, like, you got to like separate the white and the black squares by using the lines in a certain way, and then get to the end of the puzzle. Like, it was cool. Like, I liked stuff like that. Those, I feel like I'm actually like kind of using my brain, and there's a value to that. But once, like, a lot of the environmental stuff, once I like got the gimmick, then everything else is super easy. And you just, for lack of a better term, you kind of just blow through the rest of it. No pun intended. You just kind of blow through the rest of them, and to me that was just tedious, because it would just take me 40 minutes, 45 minutes to do it. Or an hour, or whatever it took me. It would just take me forever just to figure it out. Like, just to manipulate the environment enough so I could see what I was supposed to do. So I was led into a few frustrating holes there. I was really proud of myself. I did most of this game, most of my progression without looking at anything up, which was really hard, because there's sometimes you're just super frustrated, and just having the ability just to be able to have looked it up, I don't know. Like, it was just, I was proud of myself, I guess. I was proud of myself. Because it's like, some of the stuff is really obtuse, but once you kind of like get it, and you get into a groove with it, I found it fairly rewarding. Like, in terms of, like, the way I feel rewarded if I, like, complete, like, a difficult Sudoku puzzle. You know, or a hard crossword puzzle, I guess. Like, that's the kind of satisfaction I got for it. It's a quiet satisfaction. It's a satisfaction for me. But even less so, because at least with a Sudoku puzzle or a fucking crossword puzzle, I can show it to somebody, like, look at this, look what I did. The Witness, you really can't do that unless you have somebody sitting next to you playing. Actually, this would be a cool game to probably, if you have patient friends, and you guys are just hanging out and having some drinks or something, this would probably be a fun game to, like, hang out for 4 or 5 hours and play with another person. Actually, that would probably enhance the experience, because there's the joy in communally figuring shit out. Like, I really like that part of, like, playing some games. And The Witness, I imagine, would probably be pretty cool to do that with. Either that, or you just get really pissed at each other. One or the other. Like I said, you and your friends have to be patient. You got to go into this game with the right mindset, because if you don't, I don't think you're gonna like it. I think if you have like some type of expectation for what you're supposed to be getting out of this, I don't know. And if you're watching this, you've probably read other reviews. You've probably seen other reviews. Like, I feel like I'm inadvertently like setting an expectation for you. And I think anybody, because I've heard a lot of very lofty stuff about this game. Like I said, I didn't fully read anybody's reviews, but I skimmed some stuff. I saw some headlines. Just because I was generally curious, like, is this, what people were thinking about it? And this is like the second coming of Christ to some people, this game. It's not that. It is something I think people have not experienced in a while. In the same way where, like, his game Braid, it was something like, it was really refreshing because it was kind of old-fashioned, but he was able to modernize it in all the right ways. And I think The Witness is very similar in that sense, where it's like, well, it's kind of like Myst, but he modernizes it in the correct ways. And in some ways that I don't like I did not like it. It feels, there's something like joyless about this game, like in the sense of like a personal satisfaction, I guess. And maybe that's more of a reflection on myself and the way I feel about myself or something, for sure. Like, that totally could be. Like, maybe I need, like, bells and whistles and the Vegas sounds, and I need, like, the slot machine noises and shit to, like, let me know, like, hey, you did a good job. You figured it out, and that's fucking cool. Like, what the hell game is it? What is the game? There's a game that when you upgrade, guitar sounds come out of your controller. I want to say it's Call of Duty Black Ops. Black Ops 3, rather. And I was playing it. I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 3. I think me and Ryan, we rented it from Redbox, and we were playing it. And we're like, man, this game is so... it's so fucking ridiculous. You, like, upgrade, and you hear, like a guitar solo out of your controller. Because it's to stimulate your brain. It's like, good job, buddy. The Witness does not do anything like that. The Witness is like, you complete it, and then it's like, All right, we'll figure now. Once you figure out a puzzle set, not only does it not like reward you with anything, it doesn't tell you necessarily what it did sometimes. Because you'll have to complete like in an area, you'll have to complete like 2 or 3 like basically puzzle sets, and then you got to find like kind of the final lever or the final puzzle to make. And this shouldn't spoil anything for you, but it makes a giant laser lift out of the ground when it shoots towards a mountain. And that's all I'll say. But yeah, that's about it for that. That's all you get. Like there's one puzzle. There's a orange, like kind of like a autumn looking forest. And man, I figured out one of the puzzle sets and I had no fucking idea like what it did. No, I figured like the two main puzzle sets. I did them all, and I kept walking by the thing I was supposed to go towards. But I wasted a good probably like half hour just like walking around like looking for like what the fuck did it open? Like what happened? That's why I would suggest wearing headphones, because I think if I had worn headphones, I probably would have heard like the door open or something. But I had like just the volume low. My wife was like watching TV behind me, and I missed the sound. So it's another reason I would suggest headphones. But yeah, that's gonna do it for me about The Witness. I don't know if I would buy it right away. If you're on the fence about it, if you're on the fence about The Witness, if you don't know whether or not you're gonna enjoy it, it's so specific. It's so like, if you don't know what Myst is, or games like Myst, if you're not familiar with that stuff, I probably would not say go out and buy it right away. That's kind of steep. I would wait until it's on a Steam sale or it's discounted on the PlayStation Network, because that's where you can get it, on the PS4 or Steam. Yeah, I would wait for a sale, for most people. For me, my sister bought it and I just played it on her Steam account, so I didn't even buy it. I don't know if I would have bought it. Which actually goes to another interesting conversation we may have in a little bit here about something Jonathan Blow's been talking about a lot lately, so look out for that. And yeah, so that's my review for The Witness. Those are my thoughts. It's really hard to recommend this game or not. It really depends on the type of player you are, and if you like some of the things I've said about, and if you go watch some gameplay, maybe you'll get a good idea of what it is. It is exactly what it seems to be in terms mechanically, and if like you like the mechanical idea of solving these kind of puzzles, and if you like exploring and lackadaisical stuff, you want something that's a little faux deep, kind of. It's a little like philosophy quote, surface level type spirituality stuff, but I don't know. Overall, I enjoyed my time with it, but I'm done. Like, I'm done with it. Kind of like, I feel like, not that it's anything like that game, but it's like Fallout 4. I'm done with it. I put my time into it. I'm fucking done. I'm not playing it anymore. That's kind of how I feel about The Witness. The Witness didn't take me as long to get to that point, but there you go. Alright, everybody, I'm Shaun, and I will talk to you next time I got something to talk about.